Parent, your teenager and young adult kid will continue to procrastinate, continue to avoid major responsibilities, continue to avoid major tasks that they are supposed to do in order to advance their goals. They will continue to do those things unless you understand 3 common mistakes that are actually stopping your kid from becoming more motivated to 10x their productivity. And this is exactly what we're going to discuss in this video, which is 3 common mistakes that parents are making are actually stopping their kid from becoming more motivated. And make sure you stay until the very end, because the 3rd mistake is the most overlooked mistake, but the most important mistake that you must pay attention to, because the last one is really the difference that makes all the difference. And if this is what you are interested in learning more about, please keep on watching. And before we dive into the 3 common mistakes, I want to take a second to introduce myself. Hello, in case we haven't met yet, my name is Dr. AI. I'm a former award-winning college professor turned life coach. I specialize in serving high-achieving, high-potential teenagers and young adults, helping them overcome a few major life challenges, such as procrastination, lack of motivation, self-doubt, self-insecurity, lack of confidence, and lack of future clarity and life direction. I help them reclaim and elevate their confidence and motivation so that they can achieve success without the burnout, achieve success in school, and not only survive, but thrive beyond academic environment. And really excited to do this work. And I'm really honored to serve so many young people at this point in my career. I have served more than 2,500 young people, and I have been working in education for more than 2 decades. This is really my calling. So thank you so much for stopping by. And by the way, I forgot to mention, my work has been featured in Forbes, Pearson Education, Adobe, LinkedIn, TED Talk, Glamour Magazine, Kitty Creek Media, and many other places. Okay, so without any further ado, let's dive into today's topic. What are the 3 common mistakes that parents are making that are actually stopping your teenager and young adult from becoming motivated, unleashing their potential, advancing their goals and aspirations? The very first mistake is, so this is the very first mistake, rely on willpower alone. Okay, so what I mean by this is that here is actually an entire book on this talking about willpower does not work. And as always, I will link the book in the description box. So much research has really supported this concept, willpower does not work. So parent, listen, if you are hoping that your kid, their willpower alone will help them become motivated to overcome procrastination, unfortunately, I have some bad news for you. It is not going to work. And this is especially the case for many of you. If you have a high schooler or college student, they will more likely to do their homework by the time they finish their classwork, like finish their homework, classes, finish their classes, whatever they need to do at school. So by the end of the day, or maybe if they have some extracurricular activities, so by the end of the day, once they finish everything school-related, activity-related, now they are ready to do their work. Maybe 6 p.m., maybe 7 p.m., maybe even later. By that hour, their willpower is completely depleted. So you can think of willpower as, here is a very simple analogy. And our smartphone, right? So our smartphone has a battery. So the battery is the same as our children's willpower. So for your phone, if you have been using your phone the whole day, making phone calls, looking at your YouTube video, and checking out TikTok, by the end of the day, if you do not charge your phone will run out of power. This is the case for young people, for your children. By the end of the day, their willpower is going to be depleted. So if this is the time that you are, hey, listen, kid, I want you to focus, I want you to do your homework, I want you to say no to all the distractions. It is very hard for their brain to actually focus simply because their willpower is depleted. So that is the first reason and first mistake. You want to stop relying on willpower alone to motivate your kid. So the second, so if willpower doesn't work, what should we do? Which is actually the second mistake. And the second mistake is that so many parents, the only discipline the mind, they are actually ignoring the environment. So let me explain this, okay? And I talk to parents all the time. Parents come to me to help their teenagers and young adults become more motivated, overcome all sorts of procrastination, very critical life challenges. And something I hear from parents all the time is that they are hoping that their children, the first reason, the first mistake, their willpower, they can rely on their willpower, they can rely on their self-discipline, they can rely on their self-control, they can rely on all of those internal things to overcome procrastination, to become motivated, to say no to all the distractions. And that is a great desire, a great hope to have. Unfortunately, our brain doesn't really work like that. Just like willpower does not work. And this is especially the case if you have a kid who is younger than 25 years old. And meaning that for a young person, their executive functioning, their thinking brain, for your kid, their thinking brain, the part of the brain that is in charge of focus, motivation, time management, planning, executive functioning skills, is not fully developed until a kid is around 25 years old. So if you have a kid who is under 25, you are hoping to rely on their willpower, self-discipline, self-control. You are trying so hard to rely on their mind, right? So discipline the mind to hope to motivate your kid. It is unfortunately unlikely to happen. So what you really need to do is to actually discipline the environment. Do not only discipline the mind of your kid. You must also discipline the environment. If you do not shape the environment that your kid is in, the environment is going to shape your kid. If your kid, by the end of the day, we just discussed, willpower will be depleted and they're trying to do their homework. And in their room, there's a TV in the background, lots of background noises, and they have their like bubble tea. There is TV, there's social media, there is smartphone, there is TikTok video, there are bugs. If your kid is working in a room that has so many distractions, digital media devices, people talking, all sorts of things, it is going to be so hard for your kid to focus. Again, so much research has supported this. You want to create a distraction-free environment so that your kid can default to focus as opposed to default to distraction. You want to make sure that you are actually disciplining the environment instead of only disciplining the mind. In other words, you want to create a distraction-free environment in which no willpower is required to do the deep work. You want to make the environment be distraction-free. This system or this process, creating a distraction-free environment, is exactly what I do with the teenagers and young adults in my coaching program, and the results have been amazing. Right? So like if your kid, like I have lots of students who are nonstop snackers and they eat all the time when they are trying to do homework, get rid of the snacks. Right? If your kid is always, here's my homework, or here's my job application, here's my deep work, here's my smartphone. Should I be on my smartphone or should I do my homework? Should I be on my smartphone or should I do my homework? If your kid is spending hours debating between the distraction and the deep work, your kid will be literally so exhausted that no mental capacity is left to engage in schoolwork or whatever deep work they need to do. So discipline the environment, create a distraction-free environment in which willpower is not required to do the work. So that is the second point. The last mistake, which I mentioned earlier, is the most important mistake that most parents overlook, which is so many parents are trying to fix the symptom, not the root cause. And believe it or not, procrastination or lack of motivation, like screen addiction, nonstop snacking, and all of those, whatever your kid is doing right now to procrastinate, to avoid responsibility, to not doing the work, all of those things are actually behavioral manifestations of a number of deeper issues. one deeper issue is actually a lack of future clarity. So in other words, your kid, your teenager or young adult kid, does not have a motivation crisis or a procrastination crisis. Your kid does have a future clarity crisis. So the symptom is actually procrastination. If you are only trying to fix the symptom will always change, right? So maybe right now your kid is like snacking nonstop. So you did what I mentioned. You discipline the environment. There's no more snacks in the house, in the room. And then your kid, maybe they will start using a smartphone. You get rid of the smartphone. Maybe they will start reading comic books. You get rid of that. So but what you are trying to do is to only fix the symptom, which is procrastination. But every kid procrastinates differently, as I already give you, right? Snacking, social media, video games, reading books, or literally doing nothing, just sitting here and doing nothing. So we can really develop a long list of symptoms. If you are only trying to fix the symptoms, you are never going to help your kid reclaim their motivation. So what is the root cause? And after doing this work for 20 years, helping so many people overcome their challenges and accomplish their goals and dreams and aspirations, I will share with you one common root cause is a lack of future clarity. As I mentioned earlier, your kid does not have a motivational procrastination crisis. Your kid does have a future clarity crisis because they don't understand why what I do right now actually matters. Why do I have to do this? Playing video games is so much more fun. Talking with my friends online is so much more fun. Cooking is so much more fun. Whatever is so much more fun that can give me immediate pleasure and joy. Why do I want to do this thing that I absolutely do not enjoy? What's the point? So unless they understand the point, they are going to continue to procrastinate. So in other words, if your kid is procrastinating, it does not mean they are lazy, they are not motivated. It does mean that they have no reason to be motivated because they cannot visualize a future that requires them to do the work. They cannot see that future. Therefore, they engage in whatever they can do right now to give them that immediate joy, that immediate pleasure. Something I always share with my students in my coaching program is that a confused mind does not take action. If your kid does not know, where am I going? Why do I need to do this? Why do I need to work so hard in my job application? Like I want my mom and dad to sponsor me, to take care of me for a long time. Like, why do I want to work so hard in my job application? Why do I want to work so hard in my chemistry classes, in my history classes? What is the point? So as their coach, a big part of what I do is to really help them understand the point, to really gain that future clarity so that they can make decisions and overcome procrastination and do what the goal requires them to do as opposed to relying on only their feelings and emotions. Something I hear from my students all the time is that, Dr. I don't feel like it. I understand it. You don't feel like doing the work. You don't feel like, exercising. You don't feel like this. I understand. That is very common when you do not understand the important reason. You do not see the future clarity. But once you do have the future clarity, you are going to learn to make decisions based on the goal as opposed to based on your feelings and emotions. And because our feelings and emotions are not always reliable, especially when it comes to the work that we do not want to do. And again, research has really supported this. So here's a very interesting study that I want to share with you. So the study is here. Again, I will share the study in the description box. And there is actually a very interesting effect called boring but important effect. So what they did in the study is that they discovered students who have a stronger sense of purpose, who have a stronger sense of clarity, why they are doing the tedious and boring schoolwork. For the students who have that strong sense of future clarity, strong sense of purpose, they actually stay with problems longer, they have more perseverance, and they actually finish the schoolwork, they actually perform better in terms of their academic performance compared to the students who have no sense of purpose. They give up, they drop out of school, they do not perform really well academically because they are like, what's the point? When you do not understand the point, when you are engaging in tedious and boring tasks, you give up. The only reason that a kid will stay motivated, will not give up, even though the task is tedious and boring, which is pretty much what is required to achieve success. The only reason a kid is not going to give up, even though the task is tedious and boring, is because they are so emotionally connected to the future goal. They understand very, very clearly what they do right now, even though they may not enjoy that much, even though the task may be challenging, tedious, and boring, is actually required and necessary for them to achieve that future goal. The stronger they can be emotionally connected to that future goal, the easier it is for them to procrastinate. And something I always share with my students in my coaching programs, that the stronger the clarity, the easier it is for you to reclaim and elevate your motivation. And the stronger the clarity, the easier the decision-making process is, meaning that once you know what you really want to do, you can easily discern what is a priority, what is a distraction, because now you have a benchmark to make those decisions. But if you don't have a benchmark, which is a future goal, you don't know. Everything's a priority, everything's a distraction. Therefore, you procrastinate. Right? So those are the 3 common mistakes. Let me do a quick recap. The first one is rely on willpower alone. The second one is only discipline the mind and ignore the environment. The last one is only fix the symptom while ignoring the root cause. So my invitation for you is that do not only fix the symptoms, you really want to fix the system. And that is exactly what I do with the young people in my coaching program. We fix, we create, we optimize routines, morning routines, evening routines. I help them create systems, and the systems can hold those young people accountable doing the task so that they do not have to always rely on their willpower based on their feelings to make such important life decisions in order to advance their goals, personal and professional careers. Okay? And if you are interested, and I hope you enjoyed this video, if you are interested in having your kid work with me one-on-one to help them unleash their potential, overcome procrastination, and reclaim and elevate their motivation so that they can become the unstoppable version of who they are, and they can continue to unleash their potential and achieve the success they deserve, make a positive contribution to our society, become the school leader, become the industry leader, become the thought leader they are meant to become. If you're interested in having your kid work with me one-on-one, so in the description box, there is an application. So click on the link and to apply to book a complimentary consultation with me, and I will be the person reviewing your application. If your application is approved, you and I will have a one-on-one private consultation with me, and I will listen to you, sharing with me regarding your kids' specific challenges. I'll give you customized feedback and a little bit more about my private one-on-one coaching program, which is absolutely amazing, has changed the trajectories of so many young people's lives. Okay, so I look forward to speaking with you if you do take advantage of the complimentary consultation. And last but not least, and if you enjoy this video, definitely check out this video here. In this video here, I shared 5 tested and proven time management principles that you can apply today to help your kid overcome procrastination. And in this video, I actually shared a specific exercise that I use with the students in my coaching program to help them with overcoming procrastination. I give you exercises, templates, ideas that you can apply right away to help your kid overcome procrastination and 10x their productivity and 10x their potential. So thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you in another video. Comment, like, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Bye.